It's a lot of money that has been spent by the Premier League and indeed some others across Europe, but really it's England that has dominated, with Aubameyang being the big move on the final day of the season. Frank Leboeuf is still with us. We welcome Gab Marcotti and James Ollie to the show as well. Now, I suppose when you look at strikers in the past, since Drogba's arrival, a lot of them have really struggled to come in and take hold of that frontline role and make it their own, with the exception really of Diego Costa. Overall, James, does this fit what Tuchel wants?
Well, yes and no. It does in obviously the fact that he has a good relationship with the player. He had 2 fantastic seasons under Tuchel at Dortmund, 79 goals in 95 games, kind of speaks for itself. But there are some tactical questions about this. If you talk to anyone at Arsenal and watched the majority of his matches when he was with the Gunners, he was better off the left. There was always this debate about could he actually play through the middle and be as effective on a regular basis as he was off the left. It seemed as though the whole summer Chelsea have been looking to try and find a recognised number 9 to play through the middle to give them a little bit more potency in attack. But he's not always been effective in that position in the Premier League. That's the first thing. The second thing is that Thomas Tuchel has really bombed out Lukaku because he doesn't press the ball well enough. He wants those front 3. You know, he's put runners in there to set the press from the front and really try and close teams down from goal kicks from when the centre-backs have the ball. Aubameyang's not really going to do that for you. You know, he's not someone who presses the ball on a regular basis. It's kind of part of the reason, although the disciplinary issues were also a side effect of it, it's part of the reason why Arteta and Aubameyang fell out at Arsenal, that he wouldn't do the hard graft, he wouldn't do that dirty work. But Tuchel and Aubameyang have a fantastic relationship, and if anybody can get a tune out of him on a regular basis, it is Aubameyang. He is proven in the Premier League. He is the best finisher at that club now at Chelsea, you know, by a mile. And those factors are the ones that should point to a positive short-term impact.
5 years ago, Craig, he put in these sort of figures under Thomas Tuchel. Is it worth the gamble to see if he's going to do it again?
It's not a gamble at that money. They've signed a player on transfer deadline day, and if they didn't sign him, they were up the creek with no paddles.
Yeah. And
the canoe was turning over the other way because they're under pressure. They're defensively poor. OK, that might all be coming from partially starting from the front, and the old adage, you defend from the front, and that sort of kicks it off. But they still have defended poorly. But he needs somebody that can get a quota of goals. He can't. Yeah, he might be able to get that in Raheem Sterling to a certain extent. Although, as I've long said on the show, it's not going to be as easy to score goals regularly at Chelsea as it was at Man City because the players are not on the same level. Havertz has proven to be a flash in the pan. Good some days, not so good the other. And so he ultimately needs somebody that has the CV and the gravitas to put the ball in the back of the net. After all, they're a good player. Not that they've had that much recently, but they certainly did for a long period in the Tottenham game. I'll go back to that. At a key point, Havertz missed from 6 yards. So it's not an ideal scenario all round. Chelsea don't normally go out and spend 10, 20 million to try and fix a problem. But there's not too many others out there that they can go and get. So it's a sort of needs-must all round. The player needs to play at this stage of his career. Barca are desperate to loosen up their finances. And Thomas Tuchel just needs to figure out a way to get this ball in the back of the net. Because that ultimately, if he doesn't do that, it's going to cost him his job. They've got no ownership there. They'll give him a bit of leeway, but not a lot of leeway, because they will also want to make a statement.
Frank, how long will it be till you tell us that you played with his dad?
Excuse me?
How long will it be till you tell us that you played with his dad?
But I can tell you now, and then we can end that, right now. I had the chance to play with his dad, so I want to make sure, Pierre-Emerick does well. You know what? I want to give the chance to the product before judging, and I'm pretty sure Pierre-Emerick will give his best, and hopefully it's going to work. But according to what James just told us, and what Craig emphasized just after, he's not a real striker, but well, he's a striker. He played in the position of striker, but he was better maybe on the left side. And at the same time, Tuchel doesn't have the choice of the king. He has no many choices to pick up the right striker because it's too late to pick up the right striker. You have not too many fantastic striker. Haaland has been taken, Lewandowski as well. It was a failure with Lukaku. So who do you have else in a good price? Ronaldo, but you have to pay lots of money, I guess, and the wages are huge. But otherwise, that's it. So let's say it's a good bargain to have the level of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang signing for Chelsea. Now, again, I have to wait before judging because you never know what's going to happen. But we want a striker, well, Chelsea wants a striker who can score goals, which was kind of a curse, you know, lately.
Will this work, Gab?
I don't know. Certainly, if you look at the percentages, you look longer term. Again, I have to agree with what James and Craig said. I think it speaks to the dysfunction there. You knew a long time ago that Lukaku was going. You had a lot of time to go and find a striker you wanted. Personally, I really like Armando Broja. He's there. He's in-house. He showed that he could do it last season for Southampton. It's a different level, of course, but those are still Premier League goals, more Premier League goals than Aubameyang scored. So now you're tying yourself up with a lot of money for a guy who's 33 years old, and then you'll be back to square one in a year's time. I don't know. To me, this kind of feels like a panic buy.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.